Broadcasting live on a pirate frequency via the Imperial HoloNet, I welcome you to this installment of the Ragged Alliance cast. Episode 15, Dawn of the Rise of the Return of a Whole New Beginning. I'm Char Nimbus, voice of the Alliance, and your humble servant. Thanks for turning on and tuning in during these trying times. I hope you're all keeping busy and staying safe amidst the turmoil of this recent pandemic. Sorry I've been away again so long. Real life has been busy, and I'm the only one in the old Nimbus household who hasn't been sick lately. So I turned in my usual Jedi robes for a Super Dad cape. Mrs. Nimbus has been tested, and I'm happy to report that we're COVID-free, but thanks for your concern. Many thanks to all of you for being a part of this great alliance. It's nice to have this shared social space that we all occupy for a bit of consistency when the whole world's gone pear-shaped. All this bedlam has made me acutely aware of some necessary changes we've been delaying for this cast, but we'll get to all that a little later. Thanks, as always, for your ongoing submissions of segments and ideas for the cast. Please, feel free to get a hold of us in whichever way is most comfortable for you, whether that is by reaching out through your guild leadership or the guild liaison team, or by tagging me, Char Nimbus, or @podcaster anywhere on the Alliance server. The HoloNet is a world of big ideas driven by the little things. As always, we ask that you like, share, and subscribe. In the meanwhile, after an unscheduled break, there's always a great deal of catching up to do. So without further ado, we'll get on with the show. Coming up, a primer on a handy new tool theatomicpun has developed for us, version 2.0 of the BRG Gear Planner, BRG Aces, the promised look ahead towards the future of the Ragged Alliance cast, and much more. But first, let's check in on what's been going on around the Alliance. It's been too long, and a lot has happened in the meanwhile. We'll jump right into a fast look at promotions and other changes in the BRG Alliance. As always, all mispronunciations are my own. To begin with, I'd like to issue an apology alongside this first announcement. Lazarian and Savior of Wayward Knights were both promoted to officer a long time ago now. This announcement should have been a couple episodes back, but it took the long way around the maw and only reached me in time for this episode. Apologies, and welcome aboard. Next up, Baltic Fleet has a new guild leader in Latviatus, and Janice has been promoted to the role of officer to help. Thanks for picking up the proverbial torch to carry it a while and light the way. Barduk has been promoted to officer of Knights of Ozurg, proving that many hands make light work. They've got the market cornered on officers, I hear tell. Drooshbag, whose handle is among my favorite across the Alliance, has been promoted to officer in Mandalorian's Inc., and will be coordinating the guild's efforts in GAC. Mandos have also promoted Zomar to officer to oversee raids, and Kit to officer in charge of recruiting, and to the Alliance recruiting team. Thanks for stepping up. You know, it is always a delight to announce, with surprising regularity, the ways our BRG family is growing. It's been engagements and births lately. Something in the water? But today, it's my great pleasure to welcome new member guild, Drop It Like It's Hoth, to the Alliance. If you see guild leader Chin Pokemon, or officers Mr. Smelly Pants and Mr. Sam Osa around the Alliance server, be sure to make them feel welcome in their new home. Also, hot off the presses, welcome to the Bad Batch. They come fully loaded and excited to share in all that BRG has to offer. Welcome Guild Leader KK200723 and officers Spart, Oaktree 168, Tyrek Thorn, and Shajib when you see them on the server too. Finally, the Alliance staff has been running a little contest between your guild leaders and officers. It's been a guild self-checkup scavenger hunt kind of thing the guild liaison team put together. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you'll realize this isn't the shortest episode of the podcast we've ever released. This is due in part to the unscheduled break since the last episode, but it is also because one of the items asked guilds for submissions for the cast. Our inbox is so full there's more than we can comfortably fit into a single episode, so thanks to the liaison team for that. We'll get the rest out in short order. Now, the stakes for this little contest were quite high, with the winning guild to receive recruiting priority for 2 weeks, a recruiting poster to be created by the man of 1,000 hats, Zinix, and the winning guild's glory to be cried out right here, right now, in this episode of the podcast. Now, in a blatant bid to play on the suspense of this moment, I'd like to talk a bit about the scoring system. There was a time element to this contest. The first 2 teams to complete the contest each received bonus points for timeliness. As it turns out, those points boosted Livin' La Vida Yoda into 3rd place and my very own Gin and Juice into 2nd. There was also a mechanism to reward guilds based on the number of their members who are registered on swgoh.gg and points for each officer who was present on the Alliance Discord server. As a result of these little details, the results of the contest leaves us with a tie for 1st place between the officer-laden Knights of Ozurg and the Improbability of Porgs. Now, as both of these guilds already have full rosters, we've got to figure out how exactly the prizes will shake out. Those details will be released in the announcement channel on the Alliance Discord server. By and large, we're impressed with the response to this contest. Your officers and guild leaders seem to take this business quite seriously on the whole. They are the reason the machine runs so smoothly, so most of BRG can just focus on playing hard. It's a thankless job. Maybe see if you could correct that part for them. Congratulations again to our new officers, and our perpetual thanks to them and all Alliance staff too. Without their hard work and dedication, it would be impossible. If you feel like you've got it in you to make a contribution of your time and effort, BRG would love to hear from you. Your guild liaison officer, or GL, can put you in touch with the right people. And now, a quick word from Resources on Darkside Geonosis strategy. A couple of weeks ago, Morgan Freeman asked us to remind everyone about the importance of squad order, which is relevant to all mass assist teams, but particularly relevant to Geonosians. Mass assists go off like a whirlwind across the screen, so fast that it almost appears it all happens at once, or by some random form of organized chaos. In fact, an often missed detail on mass assists is that each attack is called according to the squad order you assigned at the beginning of the fight. To see why this matters so much, the Geos are an excellent case study. Because they call mass assists on every turn and have a wide variety of secondary effects on their basic attacks, the outcome of each turn in a fight can vary wildly based on this one concept. These secondary effects are as follows: inflict ability block, dispel buffs on a critical hit, dispel buffs on a successful hit, inflict tenacity down, and Geonosian Spy gains critical chance up. So let's say you're up against a team with Grandmaster Yoda or Captain Rex, who throw around tenacity up as if it's candy. If the effects go off in the order I just listed, tenacity up takes care of Poggle's ability block before it's dispelled, every time. On the other hand, a more strategically suitable squad order works much more effectively. Using Brood Alpha as leader, followed by Sunfac, Soldier, Spy, and finally Poggle, will optimize results. Whatever action is chosen for the turn based on whose turn it is, goes off first. Alpha attacks next, and may or may not dispel buffs on the target, depending on if he has a critical hit. The follow-up attack by Sunfac will dispel buffs so long as it lands. Soldier then applies tenacity down based on the target's normal, unbuffed stats. Spy's attack is next, and finally, Poggle hits last. With a little luck, Soldier's tenacity down will be successfully inflicted, ensuring that Poggle's ability block lands. This strategy can eliminate a lot of extra turns trying to pin AoE attackers down with ability block. In the high tenacity fights across Geonosis, this makes a difference across the entire map, but is perhaps most notable when fighting the Acklay. This same concept works in other squads too. For instance, in Padme squads, Ahsoka is optimal in the second slot so that she can dispel buffs before the bulk of the assists pile in behind her. Against a droideka, this can make a world of difference. There are plenty of other applications here too, but if you haven't heard of this, give it a try this week and be prepared to unleash holy hell on the Jedi.
Hey everyone, this is the Atomic Pun, guild leader of BRG Wayward Knights, and I'm here to talk to you about a gear planner that I built in Google Sheets that will help you identify what gear you need to work on to improve the gear level of any characters you want. Definitely going to be helpful for the new Galactic Legends with all those high gear requirements. I'm not going to go over everything that this worksheet can do, so definitely when you get a chance, read through the instructions that I've written here, but I want to give just a quick example to show you the basics. When it comes down to it, this sheet is going to allow you to put in the current and target gear levels for any characters you want to work on, and then tell you what gear you need to get there. So let's say I'm working on Kylo Ren Unmasked, because I know I'm going to need him for the Galactic Legend Kylo Ren. My Kylo Ren Unmasked is at gear level 8, and to get the Galactic Legend, we need him at Relic 7, so I'm going to put in R7 under target gear level. Now, nothing's going to update in the gear inventory tab until I say yes, add it to my gear list. And it does take Google Sheets a second to update here, but once that updates, it will tell me all of the gear that I need to get from gear level 8 to Relic 7. And now all of that gear is shown up in this farming needs column. The amount needed column will take the farming needs and subtract the current amount, which I haven't entered any yet, so of course it's going to be the same. So next I would want to go through and update the current amount for my gear, and in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes there is a lot of gear, and most of it we have stacks of, or it's not really a concern. So I added this column here. If you filter out the blanks in the important column, it's just going to give you the gear that, at least in my experience, is hard to come by or more valuable. Saves you some time from having to update your entire gear inventory. So let's take a look here. If I sort the inventory location, you can see there's a few different locations that show up. The HSTR reward box is one area that I found is easy to find a lot of gear. Scavenger, Carbonite, Bronzium, and Chromium, and the weekly shipment. So if I were to look at the Mark 10 Neurosav Electro Binocular Salvage, I could find that in the Heroic Sith Triumvirate Raid reward box. So let's head over to that raid, and under possible rewards, you can click on one of these reward boxes, and sure enough, the Mark 10 Electro Binoculars are here. So I can just see how much I have in my inventory and bring it over, pop it in the current amount column. And now it's going to update and say, hey, I don't need any more of those Mark 10 Neurosav Electro Binoculars, which is good. It means I have found a piece of gear I don't need to farm. Now again, we can find others at the Scavenger. So let's look for example, the Mark III Holo Projector. That's going to be in the Carbonite level of the Scavenger. So we come over here to our little Jawa friend. In Carbonite circuit board, we can see Mark III Holo Projector, and this one is great because it has the amounts right there, so you don't need to click in. The other inventory location is the weekly shipment because it always has the same gear. So if you scroll down just a little bit, you can always find your Kairos. You can always find a lot of characters in this week. Gear 12 plus gear, and then Carbontes, stun cuffs, stun guns. It's always the same gear in the weekly shipment. So you just take a couple minutes, fill out your current amount column, and it's going to tell you exactly how much gear you need. You can sort it from Z to A to see, yes, going to need a lot of those Carbontes. So that's the idea. You can do as many or as few characters as you want, and it's going to tell you how much gear you need to get them all to that place. If you have any questions or suggestions for improvement, definitely reach out to me on Discord. I'd be happy to uh, hear any suggestions that you have because I'd love to make this better. Um, and then I'm sure the link for this gear planner is going to be in the description for the video, so check that out. Download and save your own copy to Google Drive so that any changes you make will be saved. And that's it. So good luck with the gear grind, and may the force be with you.
BRG Aces showcases the
most impressive
moments from guilds across the Alliance, as noticed by your officers and guildmates. This is about the gameplay that leaves you stunned, the theory crafting that pushes you further than you thought you were able to go, the milestones that make you believe the hours put in are starting to pay off, and those bits of real life that are important enough to share with our BRG fam. To be forthright, this has been a longer than expected break, and I'm certain I've missed some of the gossip and direct submissions around the officers channel in the interim. This is a snapshot of what's happened lately, with a couple of gems from a little further back. What I'm saying is if I've missed you being awesome, I'm sorry. Keep it up, and we'll get at you next time. This episode, as usual, will look first at territory wars to find our BRG aces. As you'll recall, we usually use Nav's metric for territory wars, which offsets the game's scoring bias towards setting defenses by rewarding defensive banners at 1/4 portion each, offensive banners at 1.5 portions each, and each successful defense, that is, the ones where the defenders are still standing after, is worth 10 full portions. Space Dragons nearly managed a full clear in a recent win, thanks in no small part to these two back row sleeper teams. Nighthawk's clones managed 5 successful defenses before the one that knocked them out, and Erod's Geos pulled another 6. Hope saw a pair of great performances from Arkin and Kim Wildstorm, who combined for 14 successful defenses. Today was a good day for Hondo of Laxed Out Pros, whose Hans Falcon fleet managed to topple 8 attackers and hold this fleet territory for a stall. Great work. Mandalorian's Inc. was awfully close to a full clear today. Bloopwez had the highest nav score at 477, and their opponent was unable to clear a single territory, due in part to stand-up performances by Magic Mike 93 with 9 successful defenses from this one squad, and by Zomar, whose Darth Revan was tested 15 times and, bloodied but unbroken, held on for the stall. Going back before the update that broke Territory War, Jin and Juice had a monster day, where Tree 11 managed a nav score of 572, including 18 successful defenses. We pulled off an efficiency win on a board that was full cleared, both sides. There were some great performances all around on that particular day, but I'd actually like to focus on Gil 118's honorable mention. He pointed out the performance of Infomans, who peppered 8 successful defenses throughout several different squads, despite not making the top 5 for nav score. Next to Tree's 18, that almost looks rather paltry at first glance. Then you start to crunch the numbers. Because Infoman's defenses were spread around a little, they actually cost our opponent more points from their total than Tree. Now, these 2 fleets of trees are still very impressive and have an impact all their own in terms of depleting the firepower from the other side and just being hard to pin down. But these little contributions make a huge difference too. Livin' La Vida Yoda is terribly effective in territory wars. They had less losses in 2019 than I have fingers on one hand. They don't have to dig back very far for their last Scorched Earth full clear efficiency win. It happened just this morning. To make that one even sweeter, this was their first outing at the bottom of a brand new bracket. Outstanding work, mates. I'd like to nod my bucket at a couple more of you for in-game performances before we look into what BRG is doing in this galaxy right now. Firstly, Split Trumpet of Knights of Ozerg pulled off his first Kyber finish off last Grand Arena Championships. Well done. Also, Gin and Juice now seems to have the biggest whale in the BRG Alliance. Congratulations, Celeb, for being the first to the top of the Galactic Legend Mountain. He has since been joined atop the summit by Grudgling and Cherno. Have fun with the new Ray, you old krakens. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to honor a couple of our members who are on the front lines of the real-world fight against the spread of COVID-19. Split Trumpet of Knights of Ozerg and Elias Lund of Gin and Juice work in hospitals on either side of the Atlantic Ocean, in the midst of a public health emergency we've not seen the likes of in a century. Whatever happens on the holotables is nothing compared to putting yourselves in harm's way for the betterment of the whole. Our thoughts and prayers are with you both, with anyone who is doing the things that need to be done to see us through this. And may the Force be with us all and see us safely through to the other side. Congratulations to all of our BRG aces, and an extra special thank you to everyone doing their part to help out, whether by working the front lines of care, or keeping our shelves stocked and bellies full, or by simply staying home, following best practices, and doing your part to flatten the curve during these uncertain times. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but it will get better. Reached a new pinnacle in a territory battle? Have a ravenous pack of solid Kyber GAC certified overachievers? Finally passed a new milestone? Help your guildmates get the recognition and prestige they deserve. Remind your officers to let us know about the moments that make you go, Yahoo! So that we can share them here, and we can celebrate each other's successes. Well, hello, BRG Nation. For those I have not met as of yet, I am Mark Solo, Guild Officer in Space Dragons, and serving in the Alliance as a team leader for Guild Liaisons. To start, I would like to thank the entire cast team for giving me the opportunity to share my story, and a special thanks to Char Nimbus for being my voice today. Also, would like to add how much I personally enjoy the cast episodes every other week. The cast team does such great work, and I hope they know how much they are appreciated. Alrighty, now to jump into it. Like so many of you, I am a lifelong Star Wars fan, and started playing Galaxy of Heroes because of my love of the films. I have been playing for roughly 3.5 years, and was not always a part of Boba's Ragged Guard. Once I leveled up enough to join a guild, I did bounce around quite a bit until I landed in what I believed to be a solid group. I was there for about a month until I was first introduced to the feeder concept. In short, I left because I was unwilling to go into their training guild to work on the current meta, which at that time was Wedge Antilles' Rebel Squad, if memory serves. After I left the feeder group, the very next guild I joined, by pure random will of the Force, was Wayward Knights. This really was the turning point for me, because had I not found them, and been treated so well by the WK crew, I'm almost certain I would have stopped playing and moved on from Galaxy of Heroes. But as the will of the Force would see fit. It was the Wayward Knights that got me on Discord for the first time, and really helped me better see all the strategy that goes into all facets of the game. Now, forgive me as I no longer remember the exact timelines, but after what I believe to be somewhere between 6 months to a year, Wayward Knights was looking to move up in the Sith Raid world. Ultimately, to do that, the Knights' leadership thought it best to ally themselves with an alliance of guilds known as BRG. Now, to be completely honest, at this point I really did not understand what was happening, and part of what added to my confusion was this move had a good portion of the Knights, myself included, merging with another guild. Now, I believed for a moment that I was reliving my nightmare, and that I was being tossed into yet another feeder situation. But when it was explained to me that this was not the case, and I was given an option of whether or not to go, I was shocked to say the least. I found myself in a situation where people were trying to look out not only for their own interests, but also they were looking after the interests of the group. It was then that I truly realized that I had become a part of something special. The merger was done with Space Dragons, and obviously I opted to go with the plan and head over to what is my home guild to this day. After some time, it was here that I was given my first leadership role as a member in the BRG. Crejo Brosh, my guild leader, gave me the opportunity to serve as an officer in Space Dragons too, with various responsibilities, not unlike what so many of us do every day. I do need to thank Krijo here, because without him taking a chance on me, I don't think I would have made it to be a team lead in BRG. Blazing through to the finish, it was our very own Zinix 1 that pushed me to take a recruiter position on the Alliance staff, which eventually led to me being promoted by TK2618 to my team lead role I have today. The Guild Liaisons team has been a blast to be a part of, especially because it has brought me in contact with so many of our brothers and sisters around the Alliance. I feel very lucky to be a part of the liaison crew. Well, that's it for me. Thanks for listening to my little story, and I'll be seeing you all around the holotable. And thanks to Mark Solo for that. These different stories where we get to hear one another's paths that we took to land in this wonderful Ragged Alliance is one of my favorite things about being the TL for podcast. I really appreciate that. So thank you, Mark, so much. As we wrap things up on this episode of the cast, I've got to let you know that things will look a little different moving forward from episode 15. There's a bit of work involved in doing these casts, and I quite enjoy the process that work entails. However, my life can be incredibly busy in fits and starts. That fact has its share of the blame for the first cast of March not coming out until April 7th. Now, don't get excited. I'm not retiring, so it's not yet time to start looking for someone better. However, we will endeavor to be better at getting our content out to you as it becomes available. This ought to increase the frequency of our releases, but will make each release shorter and more sporadic for content. The aim is still to release our Alliance News and ACES features on a regular schedule, but to release smaller content capsules in between. For instance, the Atomic Pun's video for the Gear Planner 2.0 has been patiently waiting to be aired for the last couple of weeks. Mark Solo's story, too, sat in my inbox longer than I'd like. We're also looking to experiment with different content formats. This will amount to small, discussion-based capsules on a given subject, whether that is a squad, a game mode, or a new tune. For instance, I'd like to get a couple of you together with me in a voice channel for a quick focus discussion on Night Sisters. I'm great at running my mouth, but that doesn't make me an expert on all things Galaxy of Heroes. I'd like to get some of you in to share insights that will help me improve my game and help our brothers and sisters to do the same. This is all still in flux, and it's impossible to pin down exactly what this will look like until we try it once or twice. So thanks in advance for coming on this journey together. With the will of the Force, it may make us all just a little better as we go. If you're willing to participate in these sorts of discussions or have suggestions for subject areas for us to tackle to help improve your game, find me on the Alliance server and let's chat. Also, there's a lot going on in real life with COVID-19 and a lot of uncertainty heading into the thick of 2020. Keep your chin up, stay safe, and do your part, whatever that means to you. It's a ways off yet, but this too shall pass. In closing, I'd like to remind everyone again that there's been a lot of new content released into the Star Wars galaxy over the last few months. Episode 9, The Mandalorian, and Resistance at least. I know it seems like the time to fret over spoilers might have passed, but remember, we're a global alliance, and Disney is kind of funny about international release dates. In any case, what I'm saying is please keep all discussion of the new content confined to the new Star Wars content discussion channel. I'd like to thank you all for watching. Also, thanks as always to the BRG Alliance staff for the tireless work they do, day in and day out. Huge thanks as well to our producers, J. Robertson12 and Zinix, and to the rest of the cast crew whose hard work makes all this possible. Until next time, BRG, may the Force be with you. This is Char Nimbus, voice of the Alliance, signing off.